Water Freedom are here with the new filter.
She said, do you realise it's 3 years since we've been to a water point?
It's going to solve a hell of a lot of problems for me. Look at this beast. I'm going to be able to filter the river water straight out of this tank. Say hello, Doug.
Hello there.
Now, this filter obviously comes in one package straight from Water Freedom, so it was a lot of easy stuff to be done. Didn't take very long at all to install, but we're going to have a little talk with the owner at the end so we can explain how he came up with it all. So, Doug, do you want to explain to the people a little bit about this filter?
Yes, I will do that. So the water comes in here. This is a big pump, what we call a mega flow pump. Goes up here into these first filters. 50 microns, 5 microns and 1 micron. And then it comes down here and goes through here with hydrocarbons, which is oils and diesel and stuff like that, which is probably not really relevant to here.
No, that's more for if you're a canal boat, basically, isn't it? Yeah, if you're pumping out that canal water, you want to get rid of any diesel.
That's right. And then you go through the heavy metals and pesticides. Then we go down through here into the UV light, which kills all the bacteria and cysts and stuff like that. And then we go up into here, which is a two-way tap. So we can flush through this side and fill a tank through this side. The reason we have a flush on there is so that when you change the filters, you get filter residue, manufacturing residue in there that you don't want going into the tank.
Right.
So we flushed for the first minute to clear.
All right, so every time you put a new filter in, you should flush, really? I didn't know that myself.
Yes.
So I always should have been flushing the big filters in there, should I? Right, well, I haven't been doing that. Now you learn,
what
don't you?
you're actually getting is the manufacturing residue from the propylene.
I get it, yeah.
So it's plastic, really. We don't want
that. No. Get them microplastics out.
Yeah. And then we have a dosing chamber here, which is for chlorine. The reason we put the chlorine in is because we like to keep the tanks clean and the pipe work. And that helps to keep all that clean.
Yeah, especially when storing it in a big tank like the one I've got. You want to dose it every now and then, don't you?
It's a minute amount of chlorine.
Yeah.
You won't smell it in the shower or anything like that.
No, it's just enough to keep it clean, isn't it, basically?
Right, yeah.
That's what I've tried to make that balance already. Sometimes, don't do it that often, but when you do it a bit wrong, like say, all you smell is chlorine, same as normal tap water anyway, isn't it?
Like a swimming pool.
Yeah. Basic plan with this filter is we've filled this tank up here with river water, but the USP of Water Freedom is that they can filter canal water, hence why we've mentioned about the diesel and stuff. So this big tank of river water should come out ridiculously clean by the time we're done. And basic plan, as you've probably seen in the other videos, got a plumbed in connection at the bottom to 15 mil. We're running that through here into the space we cleared the other day, and then mounting the filter on this new bit of framework I've thrown in. And then from here, back into the tank as normal. Now we've got this little power box and stuff on the side here. I'm going to be running mine off the 240 volt system. So it's got a little garage consumer unit there. But did you just say it was quite a bit easier, Doug, to get it done if it's just a boat or something like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's sort of, we don't have the garage consumer unit there. We just have a smaller RCD MCB unit.
Oh, so it's still got a fuse on it even on?
Yeah.
Right.
And then the boat runs off, if the boat runs off solar, goes through an inverter and produces the 240 volts, same as what you've got here.
Right. Oh, so people do generally run these off their mains side of the boat.
These,
Right. And the UV, I guess, for that, does that have to be 240 or can you get them in 12 volt as well?
You can get them in 12 volts. We have found till now we haven't been able to do it because we've got the 12 volt version of UV light is not as efficient as the 240.
Right.
So it has to be a lot bigger.
Yeah. I had a 12 volt one before and like you say, it didn't seem as bright as the one that I had that was 240 volt.
No. But we've just come across one that is good. And it's on test at the moment just to see how long the bulb lasts. Really.
Right. So fingers crossed you'll have a 12 volt one soon.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So here it is mounted on the wall. Probably going to have to put some sort of light in here. Used to have this little 12 volt one hooked up when we had the old diaphragm pump over here hooked up originally, but that's all redundant a long time ago. May as well put a light in too now we've got proper power over here anyway. So the next step is basically we've got to hook power up to this garage consumer unit from this armoured cable. I've just got wired as an extension at the minute, and then plug in this 50 mil pipe to there basically, and it should pretty much be working then. Not to mention as well, but this has come on a recycled plastic board. So that will never rot, even though it shouldn't really ever get damp in this room per se, damp enough for it to rot, because these sandbags absorb a lot of moisture from the air. But yeah, nice to know that that board is going to last forever. And this is the second part of their filter system, which goes internally for the taps, and it is basically a fancy reverse osmosis filter. Pretty much it's replacing this old carbon filter that I used to have that comes out of this drinking water tap here as an extra filter. Bit of minor readjusting of the plumbing with this new pipe, so it needs a larger intake than the old filter, but going to provide slightly more water flow. Ideally would have mounted it under the sink, but there isn't quite enough room between my shelves, unfortunately, which was plugged into, where is he? That extension lead over there, as you saw inside. So that's ready to go inside the consumer unit now. We've got the 15mm pipe almost ready to be plugged in. We're at least, I'd say, 50% of the way there now. And that is the beauty of Water Freedom turning up with this filter unit already made and assembled, because we've got it installed, plumbed, almost wired in about an hour. The osmosis filter has taken a bit of plumbing up too, but as you can see, it's all easy stuff. Plugs into the wall, 3 little pipes, 1 in, 2 out. Minor leak. Fitting's not done quite enough, but we're almost there. All plumbed in apart from this. This is why you test things. Yeah, plumbed in, almost ready to go. It's kind of typical, isn't it? The day we actually need to be outside a bit doing stuff is the day it decides to rain everywhere. If you just want to sort of explain a bit about what you're doing now with the electrics and stuff.
Right, well, we've got armoured cable coming into the building. So we're connecting this to a spur fuse, so you can switch it on and off. And there's a little light on it to tell you it's switched on. And then we're going up into this box here, which is a garage consumer unit. So you've got an RCD and a breaker in there. And then this is all already pre-wired into the rest of the machine.
So yeah, pretty simple setup really. Just cable in.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep. All good.
So everything's in and wired together now. Just got to put the filters in the filter housings, tighten it up, and we can switch it all on and give it a go. A bit more spaghetti pipe network and another filter.
Each of the first 3 lights obtains 2 Ds. They're labelled. So if one starts to flash, it means that the one that's flashing is the one that's on the way out.
Right, so it indicates which filter needs changing when, basically. Oh, that's handy.
The last one, this one, is maintenance. So when that's flashing, it's doing a maintenance cycle.
Oh, so it'll cycle water through, will it?
Washing the filters out. Right. Doing a setup. So when all 4 lights are like lit like blue, like that, everything's good.
There we go. Looks pretty good out there straight away as well. Well, how long do you say to run it for?
Well, they reckon 20 minutes, but I never give it 20 minutes.
What, to thoroughly flush it all through?
Yeah. Usually 5 minutes is pretty good. The quality of the water to start with, if you only use it for 5 minutes, it tastes a bit charcoaly.
Right, I see what you're saying.
But,
so is that the only residue that's in it at this point, basically? Is a bit of charcoal? Well, that's not unhealthy for you, really, though, is it? So
what you've got is charcoal in the filter. It's coconut shells.
Right.
When you come to change the filters, switch it off at the stopcock,
the
isolator. Let the pressure out by running the tap. Once the water's stopped coming out, you can then pop the filters out and change them.
Yeah. Do they literally just pop in and out, do they?
Or on the back of there.
Oh,
anyway.
right, yeah. Easy peasy. So the first test looks ridiculously clear to me. Yep, tastes like water. So this is John, the main Water Freedom man, the man that's came up with the whole concept of filtering water from canal water into actual usable drinking water.
Well, thank you for having us up here. It's been a really interesting project, and so I came up with the idea of cleaning canal water, canal and river water, about 10 years ago. It was just for my own use on my own boat. I did never intend to start a business, but it kind of, I got persuaded to start fitting systems for friends and then friends of friends, and it kind of gathered its own momentum. And so, yeah, here we are now, 10 years later, with hundreds of really happy customers. And
101.
so yeah, the concept behind the system is that we take water from any source. So our business, I guess, has evolved around the inland waterways market, but we're increasingly doing other off-grid projects. We take the water and we remove whatever's in the water that makes it harmful to humans.
Yeah.
Your situation here, a lot of the water that you're going to be collecting is going to be rainwater. Yeah. So the
relatively low risk system, I guess. Anyway.
So our system's going to have relatively little to do. But you can imagine on a canal. Yeah. I mean, we've got customers on the Lee navigation in North London, and that's the second most polluted waterway in Europe.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine that's not the best thing to be filtering from unless you've got the right equipment, is it?
Exactly. And the water that we end up with, ultimately we can get the water to a level where it's orders of magnitude cleaner than any water that you'll get out of any tap anywhere in the world.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, one of the guys that's had your system had tested some of the mains water, and that was only about 47% clean.
Yeah, so we've got a customer with an interesting testing device that we need to find out a little bit more about, but it looks credible. The device can detect microplastics, hydrocarbons, nitrates. It can can't identify them, but it can detect the presence of bacteria and viruses. And it then produces a percentage purity score. And he's on the Grand Union Canal and tests his water from his water freedom system every week, and it comes out time after time at 98%. At the same time, he's been testing the water that comes out of the water points that are along that canal. And that, of course, is municipal. It's mains water.
Yeah.
And it's coming out at 48%.
Yeah, which is what everyone in their household is drinking as well. So not ideal.
Indeed.
Maybe people in normal houses should consider getting one of these. Absolutely.
Well, we get an increasing number of inquiries from people in just normal domestic property that are concerned about the quality of their water.
Well, especially you've got the Freedom Pure, don't you? That sort of system is, I guess, aimed at those sort of people as well, isn't it, really? You've got a household system that needs a bit of a clean up.
Yeah, I mean, for us, addressing the off-grid market, the missing part of the puzzle was always the drinking water part. We knew we could produce water that was safe for baths and showers and laundry, dishes, etc. So the drinking water part, it took us longer to come up with a solution for that. That product we launched about 3 years ago. Everyone who has it absolutely loves it. And yes, it's very relevant for people in a normal domestic setting as well.
Yeah, a lot of people are bothered about high chlorine levels and all that sort of stuff in the water.
Well, it's not just high chlorine levels. We had the situation in Devon, 18 months ago, with whole areas had their supply shut off because of the contamination in the reservoir.
Yeah. I suppose when so many people rely on one source, it easily affects a lot of people very fast. That sort of thing as well, doesn't it? So I guess, we'll just have a quick look now at the goods and show you exactly how this filter works. So, we're in here now with the goods, with the big boy filter. And John just basically explained roughly how it works.
So you can see we bring water into the system via the big pump here. The water then goes from the pump. We first of all filter for sediment. So we filter 50 micron, 5 micron, and then down to 1 micron. And then the next route you can see onto the next array of filters. We then filter for hydrocarbons. So you're not going to have too much in the way of hydrocarbons here because most of your water is going to be rainwater.
Yeah.
But in a river and canal environment, obviously there's an awful lot of hydrocarbons because of the amount of oil and diesel that ends up in
exactly the main reason I was worried about my river water and got you guys to look at this was because I'd seen oil in the river before, so that's definitely something. If we ever are pumping, we don't want to get in the system.
Yeah, it's also you have a very long dry period, which we seem to be in the middle of this year.
Yeah,
get heavy rains.
Oh, that's the water system working in action.
Dry period, like we seem to be in the middle of at the moment. Although it wasn't very dry earlier on today, was it?
Yeah,
but
first time in months we've had rain.
Yeah, exactly. So what will have happened today is all of the rubber and oils and etc. from car tires and condensed exhaust fumes, when they get washed off the road, they end up in the storm drains, and that then ends up in the rivers.
Yeah.
And so
it's that you're getting.
So it's that as well, yeah. And then the next filter deals with heavy metals, with pesticides, with a range of other chemical contaminants. And then it goes on to the sixth filter, which we build all of our systems with 6 housings. This one's normally left empty. So we build the systems with a spare filter so that there's, if there's additional filtration required of some sort, that we've got capacity for.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, like sometimes you just throw in like a extra carbon filter or something like that.
Exactly. So there's certain parts of, certainly, the canals and rivers, there's certain parts of the network that have a very high iron content, or they have a very high organic compound content. We can get those out as well. And then the next stage here is ultraviolet sterilizer. Again, we take a belt and braces approach with this. The UV sterilizers work based on the contact time and the intensity of the light, and the tubes are rated by the number of litres per minute that they can sterilize. Right. So our system produces about 10 litres, while yours more because it's got the bigger pump, about 15 litres per minute. But the UV sterilizer is rated at 23. So we always take a big belt and braces approach to the sterilization. And then from there, the water then goes into your big 6,000 litre tank, available for you to have unlimited showers from your rainwater. And
I forgot to mention this little thing here.
Yeah, so obviously mains water is chemically treated.
Yeah.
Whereas water that's come off of your roof in the form of rainwater, or has come out of the river or from a well, there's no chlorine in there. So we fit this what we call a dosing chamber. So it's really easy to add a couple of little chlorine tablets just to bring the water up to a similar level that you would normally expect with mains water.
And it's a nice little place that can actually sterilise the tank should I ever want to do it at sort of a high dose as well.
If you wanted to do a high dose, then you
give
could
everything to flush through.
Exactly.
So I guess, so the main question which most people have is, how often do we need to change these filters and stuff? How much water can we actually do before we need to be even looking at these, basically?
So the sediment filters in a canal or river environment, the sediment filters are the filters that need changing most.
Will it be this 50 micron will need changing the most often, or will they all need changing at the same time every time?
Well, the 50 lifting, because it's the first one in the series.
That's what I was thinking.
So it will tend to be the one that will be changed most frequently. But to be honest, I think collecting water off of your roof, the life cycle of these is going to be much, much longer than it would be in a water, inland waterways environment.
So you reckon it's going to last a lot longer than what they've usually been filtering?
Yeah. So typically for somebody on a boat, these would last. The sediment filters would last for between 1 month and 3 months, dependent on volume of water and the sediment level in the water.
Which is very high usually in Canal.
Which is very high, yeah. Whereas for you, we could be looking at potentially even an annual change with these,
which would be ideal. But I think you're right. It probably will be at least a 6-month one, won't it? Really, I
think 6 months would be. You'll know when the filters are starting to get clogged, because you'll hear the pump starts to become laboured.
Yeah. And I guess I'll notice from the change in sound of the actual filling of the tank, it won't be as high volume going in, will it?
Well, we always flush the system before we add any water to the tank. That's the purpose of this valve.
Oh, should I be doing that every time?
So you should flush the system with each use.
Right, okay.
Just for
I'll be doing that.
Yeah, obviously not if you've used the system half an hour before, But if a number of days have elapsed in between use, then you'd expect to flush the system for a minute,
right? Yeah,
before you send any water into the tank.
That's a good job that you just told me about that then, because I definitely wouldn't have been doing that.
And you'll see the water flow going out through that flush route.
Yeah. So I've got little bypass up the top there, flushes the flush outside.
Exactly. And so that's it. That's effectively, ability to purify your own water at the touch of a button.
Which is ideal, and it does solve a lot of water problems here at the farm, 100%, because now we can use all of the water sources, not just this well. So how was it you actually came about starting the business effectively, starting filtering your own water from the canal, was it originally? It
was from the canal, yeah. So, 10 years ago. 10 years ago was we had a boat, and myself, my partner, and 2 teenage girls. And when you live on a boat, the biggest challenge is water.
Surprising.
Because boats have quite small water tanks.
Yeah, limited storage, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Very limited storage. We were able to go through a whole tank of water in 3 days. And there was one particular occasion, I was on my way to the water point at Little Venice in central London, if you know it.
Right.
There's a water point there. I was on my way to get water, and on my way to the water point, I saw there was a boat coming out of Paddington Basin, and I thought, this boat coming out, that probably means there's a space. So I thought, do I get water, or do I go and take the spot? And I thought, I'd love to have a week in Paddington Basin.
Yeah.
So I went in looking for the spot.
Risked it for the biscuit, for the space.
Exactly. And of course, there was a spot. And of course, the day after, we were running out of water. We had hardly anything left in the tank. So I waited up until 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the water point so I could fill up without losing the space. And while I was there,
Camouflage of the night.
I was thinking, I can't continue living like this. It's just too stressful. And it's crazy because we're surrounded by water.
Yeah.
I thought there must be a way of cleaning it. And so that's what the day after I started by researching what's in canal water that makes it harmful to humans. And of course, that's a really long list of things.
I can imagine.
And then I started researching.
That isn't going to kill humans.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next step after that was to research the type of filter media that actually removes some of those or all of those elements. And having done that, then the next process was making sure that you put them together in the right order, and you have the type of hardware that can deal with the challenges of drawing water out the canal and then forcing it through all of these filters. It was a pretty exhaustive process because every time I changed something, I had then to do expensive lab tests to verify what change it had made to the product water.
Right, I see what you're saying. So you could actually work out that it was doing what you were trying to do.
Exactly. So the process took 10 months, and I spent a small fortune in the process. I spent a small fortune not just on water testing, but also on hardware. I killed 4 pumps in the first 3 months. I spent what seemed like a small fortune, and was a small fortune for me at the time, on a sort of semi-industrial reverse osmosis system, and that produced about 100 litres of really great water until it packed up, stopped working. And so it was back to the drawing board. And the process of getting not just the right filters, getting them in the right order, having the right type of pump, the right type of UV sterilizer, etc., putting that together. And then in a boat environment, obviously you're space limited as well, so packaging that in a way that would fit into the space that I had available on the boat. But after 10 months, we had a system that was reliably producing all of the water that we needed for our family. And I didn't ever intend at that point to start a business. I was produced this to solve my own problem. And it was 3 years after that my partner said, she said, "Do you realize it's 3 years since we've been to a water point?" I was like, wow, yeah, you're right, it is, isn't it? And she said, "You really need to commercialize this, turn it into a business. Every other boater would love to have what we've got. And she said it'd almost be immoral not to, because
yeah, the people have got to have the shared access. Such a good idea.
Well, and here we are now, 7 years on from that point. This year's been a great year for us. We've had our first government contract. We installed equipment on Ascension Island in the middle of the Atlantic to deal with the water problem there.
That's a fully off-grid system, is that then?
It's a fully off-grid system. So the environment there's
even more off-grid than here, I imagine.
Even more off-grid there, and the water collection environment there was designed by none other than Charles Darwin.
How nice!
In the mid 19th century, and the water's collected at the top of the mountain, runs into a well, collects a lot of bacteria and other nasties on the way.
Imagine. Subtropical well water sounds ideal,
and an ambient temperature of 25 degrees. So like
a soup in there rather than water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had that. That was a fun experience. We were nominated for Best New Product Award at the Crick Boat Show this year, which was quite an honour.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram.
And we were featured on Channel 4's Narrow Escapes program a few weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a great year for us. It's been a super busy year. We're constantly looking for more people. We've hired 2 new engineers recently. We've now got a total headcount of 8. So it's been quite a year.
I suppose it's obviously something people need and people are finding works really well, aren't they? So word of mouth spreads everything, doesn't it, as well? As you guys are obviously being at boat shows and stuff like that.
Our customers are our best salespeople.
That's what I'm getting at, is the people are obviously telling everyone they know how good this is, basically, like as I'm trying to do now. Pretty much this is going to solve a hell of a lot of problems for me, especially during the summer. And I'm sure, like you're saying, 3 years of yourself not having to get water on the canal, how many hundreds of people you've already saved that same journey for as well. Years of not having to actually go to a municipal water supply now. Yeah,
I mean, the most common feedback we get, there's 3 phrases that people use. We hear them half dozen times a week. One is the game changer, the other is life changing, and the other is it's the best money I've ever spent.
I think just the general hassle of having to, like you're saying, every couple of days or whatever, you've got to go get water. That in itself is invaluable to save that time, isn't it?
Really? I mean, most boaters manage to stretch their water out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But that means that they take very short showers.
Two weeks max was for us, really.
Yeah.
A week and a half long.
Very short showers. Running a washing machine is a dream. Boaters that have a boat on their bath never use it,
that's it.
Our system changes all of that. It means you use water like you would do if you were living in a house.
Yeah, so it becomes effectively like you're on mains water, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which does make sense, especially on the canal boat, because, like you say, there's so much water there. Why can't you make the most of it?
Exactly. What we have is basically a mini water treatment plant.
Yeah, ideal for people. Well, I guess thank you very much for coming down and sorting all this today. Like I say, it's saved me a hell of a lot of stress in the future worrying about water. I've got 3 sources I can reliably put into the main system tank now through this filter. So stress is off. We have water at the farm. Thanks again, John. I'll just film the little handshake here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.